All right, welcome back into the In the Pocket podcast. Max Sturm, Logan Martin, Xander Cook back this week after being put on the late shift 3 nights in a row. I am exhausted, but we're not even going to go over games this week. I think, at least myself, I didn't get to watch a lot of football on Sunday. I think you guys both watched a little bit more football than me, but I think we're going to move into talking more about where the league stands right now from different perspectives. And I think that a really good place to start is, are the Ravens a team that can still make it back to the playoffs? You think about this week, they expected Lamar Jackson to be back, but as Logan has mentioned numerous times already, hamstrings are a bitch to come back from. And you don't know what the timeable on it is ever. You could go out on the field and feel fine, and you can end up tearing it again, or not tearing it, but rupturing it again. And
Hmm.
I think that that's kind of what Lamar's going through right now, just trying to figure out when the right time to return is. But it's getting a little late. They did come out and get a big win over the Bears, which I don't think any of us expected. King Henry had an awesome day, which you know, helped them out quite a bit without Lamar Jackson. Two touchdowns, 71 yards. So he didn't hit that century mark, but still, he did a lot for them. And Tyler Huntley didn't play a bad game either. They come out and really put the pressure on the Bears and Caleb Williams and did a good job getting that win. So now they sit at what, 2-5, and
Hmm.
we're about just a little for them, a little under halfway through the season. We got to think about it. Lamar Jackson, if he returns this week, can they still make the playoffs? And guys, I'll let you start it off, Logan, kick it off.
Yeah, can basically Cincinnati was in this situation. I think was it last year? Um, but anyway, very limited chances of making the playoffs, but they're still hopeful, and all eyes were on them. They're kind of the team that everyone looked at like they have the talent to make the playoffs, but their record doesn't show it, and that's what the Ravens are. And their backs are against the wall in this situation. They got the Dolphins coming up, they got Minnesota, who's been beatable. Then you got the Browns, and then you got the Jets, and then the Bengals, Steelers, Bengals. So you got a stretch coming up if you're Baltimore, and you are getting healthy, which is the case right now, where you can take advantage of the schedule and really get back in it and hopefully get back to 500 and then go from there. But your mindset has to be one game at a time. And like you mentioned, Tyler Huntley came in and played great. So my assumption is that him being in the meetings, and day in and day out, stacking weeks, has just prepared himself to put a game together, and allowed Baltimore to come out with a win. So their hopes are still alive. I think they still got a chance in a division that I think is pretty weak this year. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say they absolutely have a chance to make the playoffs. One, Lamar is coming back. I know that they only won one game with Lamar before his injury, but you just get a win over Chicago, who's on a four-game heater with Tyler Huntley. Why did they start Cooper Rush instead of Tyler Huntley from the beginning? I have no idea. Just a bad coaching mistake from Harbaugh. Considering Huntley knows the system way better. Now you're getting Lamar back. Granted, it is that hamstring injury. We don't know how he's going to play after that injury, but I mean, it's Lamar Jackson. He's going to win you some games. And I definitely think they're going to make the playoffs, and it's not going to be as a wild card team. I think they are on track to win the division. They're currently third in the division. The Browns suck, just got destroyed by New England. Bengals have a terrible team, and the Steelers are the Steelers. They're mediocre, probably going to finish 9-8 per usual, and I think the Ravens sneak in and win the division.
You know who I thought the Ravens should have went out and got?
Hmm.
Um, you mentioned backup quarterbacks in 2025. We're in a different situation where it's not necessarily the player, now it's the system. Can you
Ooh,
trust?
I know where you're going with.
So, I'm not surprised they went out and got Anthony Richardson.
Oh,
Um,
you think Richardson, bro? I was thinking Flacco.
no, I'm the Ravens. No, I
Yeah.
was thinking Richardson just because of Lamar's play style. But
Mm.
I mean Flacco, yeah, that makes sense coming back home. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can they make the playoffs? Absolutely, they can. You whenever you got Lamar Jackson behind the center, you've got to be confident that your team can still make the playoffs. However, I think it's tough sledding for them. Uh, the Steelers are the most competitive team in that division, and Xander, I know you've got your thoughts on them, and they're a 9-8 machine under Mike Tomlin. They're gonna finish with a positive record. It happens every
I
year.
hate
I'm
I
I'm
hate that.
I'm counting on it. Can the Ravens make up enough ground now at this point to win the division or, even secure a wild card spot? And I think it's less a question of whether Lamar Jackson can put them in a situation to win and more so a question of can their defense step up and put them in a position to win. They did well versus the Bears last week or yesterday rather. But like you said, they've got a schedule coming up that you could see some wins, but you could also see some losses depending on how the games go. Lamar
Mm.
Jackson, before he was injured, still lost 4 games. Was it 4 games? 3 games.
Yeah, there. I think he's 1-4.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
I thought it was 1-3.
No,
They had a
I'm
bye
pretty
week
sure it's
too.
1-4.
Yeah.
Um, but they go up against Chiefs and get absolutely wiped out. And obviously Lamar didn't play the fourth quarter of that game, but um, still it was way out of reach anyway at that point.
Yeah.
Uh, so when you start facing these competitive teams with offenses that know how to break down a defense like that, have experience, it's going to be real tough sledding for the Ravens. I do think that they'll make it in. I'm not sure that they'll be division winners, but I do think that they could be a wild card.
He was 1-3. Xander's
Yeah, one,
correct.
three.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
knew that.
I thought I was correct.
Because Rush started 2 games and lost those 2 games.
Correct. Yep. They lost to Houston 44-10 and LA 17-3. And Lamar's last game was against Kansas City, where they got blown out and lost 37-20.
Any other thoughts on the Ravens, guys?
No.
They're winning the division. Telling you right now.
I don't know about winning division, but
Bro, brother.
I think they could lose. I don't think they could win the regular season, the division in the regular season, but I think the playoffs they would beat the Steelers.
I think they, with their upcoming schedule and the Steelers' upcoming schedule, I would question Mike Tomlin's 9-8 record. I think it's time we seriously think they finish 8-9, 7-10 this season. I mean, dude, this is the worst defense I've ever seen in my lifetime. All I've known is good defenses or meh defenses as a Steelers fan. We have given up 922 yards the past 2 games. That's the most since 1988 in a 2 game stretch. We have given up over 30 points in 4 out of our 7 games. I like $150 million for the defense.
That's the crazy part.
It
Yeah,
just goes to show that you can't buy talent. Oh,
and in Minka, it's proven that they would have been better off with Minka than Jalen Ramsey. Because holy smokes, man.
bro, Rams just lost a step.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
he looked awesome in the first few
but
games and
l-
then has really just fallen off since then. And the secondary has really been disappointing as a
Oh,
whole.
they fucking
let
suck.
me name you the top 6 teams in each conference record wise. All right. And you tell me which conference you think is much stronger. I think one's
I
much
already
stronger
know
than
it's
the other.
NFC. NFC.
Right, right. I mean, Indianapolis, New England, Denver, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Chargers. I'll even go 7, Jacksonville. And then you got Green Bay, Philly, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Detroit, Rams, 49ers, Bears. Like, come on. Like, the Ravens got a chance. Or the AFC is definitely the weaker conference this year.
Hmm.
For sure. All right, Logan, what's our next topic of discussion?
Yeah, I kind of want to just dive in. Does Dallas have the worst defense in the league? And I'm just going to go through a couple stats right here. Defensively, 31 points allowed a game, um, 6.2 yards per play compared to Denver, who's allowing 4.6. Um, 260 passing yards a game allowed, and it feels like it's even more than that. Away on the road, they're much better than they are at home. Their defense kind of falls apart at home. But man, these numbers, like allowing nearly a 70% completion percentage to quarterbacks, allowing 5 yards per rush, you know, opponents when they get in the red zone, they're almost scoring at a 45% clip on the Cowboys. Like this is, I'm just going through some of these stats defensively, and I'm sure if you put these up against some of the other teams in the league, that's probably bottom five, and I know it is because I've tracked enough stats this year, but the defense is horrible. And going into this game, I thought Denver was gonna struggle. I thought this was a chance where Dallas could prove themselves defensively against the offense that has gotten lucky and in the last couple games has scored the majority of their points in the fourth quarter. And I don't even think Denver punted. They just marched all over the field on them every time they got the football. Max, you mentioned you watched this game. You got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix to me is still nothing incredibly special. What he did last week was awesome. What he did, I see your face, Xander, and you can comment on it after. This offense as a whole for Denver is nothing super, super special. We've talked about it in the past. Cortland Sutton seems to be the primary target, obviously. But other than him, you're throwing to Troy Franklin and then relying on your run game. And it seems beatable for the most part, unless you have a defense like the Dallas Cowboys who just get picked apart at every position. And obviously, they're dealing with injuries. Trayvon Diggs goes on IR this week.
He's trash anyway. I hope he.
Right, right.
I
He's
don't know
trash
about
against
hope,
men
but he's
in
better
man
off.
coverage.
Like
The yards come against him, but now they're in even worse position because you know who's leading that secondary core? Kyer Elam. Um, he's he's not the only problem though. So many different problems with this Dallas defense. We used to say, hey, had a problem with the rushing attack, and their pass game was was somewhat solid, and now it seems that's flipped a little bit. They've done better against the run, from what I've seen the last few weeks, anyway. But still, they're giving up a ton of yards. They're giving up a ton of yards all over the place, and
Mhm.
so I think they do have one of the worst defenses in the league. I would not say that they are the worst. I still have Cincinnati as the worst defense in the league. I mean, you gave up 39 points to the Jets, 20 of them, I believe, in the fourth quarter. And honestly, sorry, Xander, I think that the Steelers defense is playing worse than Dallas is at times too.
Well, okay, at times, yeah.
Yes. Like last night when I caught the second half of that game, they were up at first and then everything over the middle was completely wide open. There was not a blanket out there. Any pass that Jordan Love wanted was right there for the taking over the middle in the seams, in the gaps. It was all open because they ran basic coverage over and over again. They didn't want to put a blanket on anybody. And so whoever if you locked up their number one guy, it didn't matter. The next guy was wide open over the middle for 13 yards every single time. So uh, I do think that overall this year Cincinnati has been the worst defense. I'd say right behind them's Dallas, and the Steelers have thrown their name into that hat for sure.
Yeah. I think Cincinnati's by far the worst defense. They are last in the league in yards allowed, giving up 408 per game.
Yep.
They are the third worst passing defense in the league, giving up, I believe, 258 yards. They are the worst rushing defense in the league, giving up 152 yards per game. And they are giving up almost 32 points per game. They're at 31.6, which is the worst in the league. And then nail in the coffin, you give up 39 points to the Jets, who are led by Justin Fields, who got called out by his own owner for being a shitty quarterback. Now you give up 39 points to said shitty quarterback. Obviously, you own the title of the worst defense in the league. And like Max said, I think in that second spot, I'd go Dallas. They have been horrible this year. And in that third spot, I'm going Pittsburgh. They're the worst passing defense in the league. They're giving up over 285 passing yards per game. Jordan Love, 20 straight completions last night. And like Max said, over the middle. And I just want to point this out, that over the middle bullshit, it's been happening under Tomlin his entire tenure. Actually, ever since Dick LeBeau retired, it's been happening under Tomlin. I hate him so much.
all right, we're gonna jump right into our new segment, Overreaction Monday. Max, kick it off. What you got, man?
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons are done. The Atlanta Falcons are completely done. They are not going anywhere this year. And I wouldn't even say that that's an overreaction, to be honest with you. Just based off the way that they have played the last few weeks, we see them get that huge win against Buffalo last week or 2 weeks ago. And that was big for them. They go out, they play the 49ers, and they struggled offensively. The defense kept San Francisco to 20 points, but still with how damaged and how hurt they are and what we saw happen to San Francisco this week, you feel like they should have probably won that game. Then they go on and at home versus Miami, one of the worst teams this year, most turnover worthy team, and arguably one of the worst defenses behind the three that we've already mentioned. They lose 34-10 and allowed Tua to throw for what, 200 something yards and 4 touchdowns. It was absolutely ridiculous. And then you look back, like they lost 30-0 to the Panthers, who the team they beat also blew out 40-9 this week. They keep it real close with the Commanders, who I still don't think are a very great team. Um, and they've just been inconsistent. Like they keep it real close with the Buccaneers. They lose to the Cowboys in that was a preseason game, but still, like your defense overall has just really shit the bed. And without Michael Penix this week, obviously it was going to be hard. But I think that Kirk Cousins should have been a decent enough quarterback to beat a team that's one in what they would have bet they were 1-6. Now they're 2-6. I just think that the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm disappointed to say it because I had them potentially winning 11 or 12 games this year. They just aren't coached right. They don't have a leader at the quarterback position, and they struggle offensively as a whole outside of Bijan Robinson, who was limited, or like did not really get a lot of attention or a
Yeah.
lot of yards on Sunday. And obviously Jake London was hurt, but I don't think that makes a difference. Like your injuries are should not impact you to the extent it did versus this Miami team.
Well, I honestly, if Kirk Cousins on first of all, I like your take. I agree with you. I think the offense is very boring. I think it's not creative, and I feel watching the tape back, the full game highlights, the offense, there's some sort of miscommunication going on. Like there are people crowded in areas and jammed up, people in the same zone running routes. The offense just wasn't functioning right, and
Right.
we've seen that multiple times. Yeah, go ahead.
And I think that Kirk Cousins also hasn't been like really all there in the building, to be honest with you.
I,
Like I
I
think he wants out, and
yeah,
I
I
think
wonder if there's something there between him and the owner where he's staying to keep them a financial burden or what. I don't know.
it probably is. It's probably after
Yeah,
this year they can get out of the majority of the contract, which is smart. But at the same time, you're now forced to start a player. At least this past week, we don't know what's going to happen next week against the Patriots, uh, where
right,
you're forced to start a player who doesn't even want to be there.
right.
And looking at that schedule, check out these next two games: Patriots and Colts. The way they're playing, they are not winning those games. They're not even staying close to the Colts, to be honest with you. And the Patriots probably will blow them out too. And then they face the Panthers again, who blew them out. Then you have the Saints, which they keep it very close. They're not a great team, but they keep it close the majority of the time. Saints are at home, and uh, I think that the Saints probably can win that game. Then
I
they face the Jets. I think that's a dub for them. Then they face the Seahawks with how well the Seahawks defense is playing. They don't win that game. They don't beat the Bucks. They might beat the Cardinals. They lose to the Rams, and they let's say they split with the Saints this year. They're not making the playoffs. They're going to finish with a losing record if they continue to play the way they have.
yeah. I will say one thing though. This team's trending in the right direction, in my opinion. I feel like in the next 2 years they will have, if Michael Penix molds into the quarterback that he needs, that Atlanta needs from him. But Raheem Morris, defensive coach coming from Los Angeles, Atlanta's finally shifting into a defensive team, which could, play right in, the cards will fall right into play like you want. So,
I didn't show it too well on Sunday.
oh no, but that defense is fast. That offense is. I mean, what do you expect that defense to do when Kirk Cousins is going three and out?
Yeah,
Y-
I agree with Max's take about Atlanta being cooked. I don't think Raheem Morris is a good coach, and I think Zach Robinson is by far the worst offensive coordinator in the league. And that's actually, I hate saying that because as a Steelers fan, after Matt Canada got fired, I was like, hire Zach Robinson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, just think about the offensive weapons that they have too. Like you're telling me between Michael Penix, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, uh, why am I blanking on his name? There's another wide receiver that I'm thinking of. He didn't play against Buffalo. Um, Logan, help me out here.
Darnell
So,
Mooney.
Darnell Mooney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney, and for Christ's sake, even Kyle Pitts can be like an asset for you. And you're right. There's just zero creativity within this offensive scheme. There hasn't been any creativity at all. The only reason they beat the Bills is because the Bills defense sucks so bad and they can't cover shit either. And they just rushed Bijan Robinson for 180 yards and found Drake London on the sideline every time he was open. Um, so I think that speaks a lot about the Bills defense, which did improve this week, but I think it speaks louder volumes about how this team is coached.
Hmm.
Xander, what do you got for an overreaction, man?
I think Jonathan Taylor breaks a single season touchdown record. I will die
Some
on that hill.
yeah.
He's at 14 through 8 weeks right now. Single season record is 31 from LaDainian Tomlinson back in '06, I believe. I think Jonathan Taylor will beat that mark, and I think he finishes with 33 or 34 total touchdowns. He's going up against Pittsburgh Sunday, 1 p.m. We're middle of the pack as a run defense, but it doesn't feel like we're middle of the pack. I think given the circumstances, you let Jamar Chase get 16 catches on prime time. You let Jordan Love have 20 straight completions on prime time. I think Jonathan Taylor goes off for 270 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. That's how horrible this
Dude, the
fucking
last time I saw that out of him, he was playing Buffalo and he had the 5 touchdowns. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
I
wait,
think
I think you're right.
yeah, I genuinely believe he breaks a record and then some.
I like to see it, man.
He's gonna he's gonna have a day against Pittsburgh. I know that the
It's
Pittsburgh
gonna
run
be belt to
defense isn't
ass. It's gonna
isn't
be belt to
terrible.
ass. I'll have my fucking pants pulled down saying, "Hey, Jonathan Taylor,
Yo,
spend money."
what?
That's how I feel as a fucking Steelers fan right now.
We got two clippable moments in the last 2 weeks.
Say that. Yo, run that back.
I ain't run that back. I'll let the viewers run it back. I'm
And
saying
no, Daniel Jones and
it's
Jonathan
already
Taylor
sus
are gonna
enough.
run it
That's
back.
just how I fucking
It,
feel right now.
yeah, I just don't think that the Steelers defensively right now have what it takes to stop how explosive that offense is right now.
Yeah.
Especially in the run game. It's whether Aaron Rodgers can keep up, but they're going against a good defense as well.
And he's 41 years old. He
Yeah.
cannot scramble, dude. I mean,
You
he
ready
can,
for,
but not like his 2017, 2018 version.
you ready for mine?
Let's
Yeah,
hear it.
let's go.
And I switched it to the one that I wanted to say second, but this is gonna be my one and only.
The
Okay.
Chiefs go undefeated the rest of the year and make the Super Bowl.
No, I already said that. I'm still standing on that.
That they're
Not
going
undefeated.
undefeated?
No, not undefeated, but they're going to
Okay.
the Super Bowl. Um, Daniel Jones leaving Minnesota set the Vikings back 5 years and damaged Kevin O'Connell's career. Put it on pause.
Oh, fuck.
And I don't know if it's gonna eat him alive. I don't know if he's like losing sleep over it. But Carson Wentz is now gonna need season-ending shoulder surgery. And you still got JJ McCarthy, who has been dealing with a high ankle sprain for what, like 4 or 5 weeks now. And what's the reason he's not playing? Probably because he's not ready.
No,
Probably because you don't want him to go out and
It
because
was the emergency
well,
quarterback.
we saw what it yeah, but we saw it was like when there was Minnesota was without their tackles last game, and Carson Wentz was getting beat the hell up. So like, there's obviously they don't want to put JJ out there in danger. So right now you're in a position where you're gonna have to play Max Brosmer, um, who not to mention I played against. Like I was standing on the sidelines playing against Max Brosmer. I was injured on crutches, but he was on the field. Yeah, University of New Hampshire. He went to Minnesota, had a pretty good year, and now he's on the Vikings, and they're gonna have to look to him if they're not gonna play JJ. So Daniel Jones going and balling out on the Colts definitely has to be a punch to the gut if you're the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. Does it set them back this year? Absolutely. Does it set Kevin O'Connell back as a coach and as a
Three
team?
3 to 5 years. It sets the team and him.
No,
I
no,
don't agree with
dude.
that
Any
statement.
quarterback who's going to be a free agent wants to go to Minnesota right now with the weapons that they have on offense between Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, a good rush game, a very solid defense when healthy, and a decent offensive line when healthy. Why would you not want to go there as a quarterback? I think and we've seen what Kevin O'Connell has done with quarterbacks. He makes them better whether they were good or not beforehand. So I don't think this sets them back years to come. I think this is going to be a down season for Minnesota, but they're not set back in the slightest right now.
I'm with Max on this one. It definitely sets them back this season for sure. Because had they had Danny Dimes in there, bro, tossing those balls to Addison and Jefferson and Hawkinson, dude, Minnesota's competing for that number one seed again.
Yep.
Like, dude, oh, that would have been something to watch this season for sure. But does it set them back 3 to 5 years? No. And I think it's you're giving not enough credit to JJ McCarthy. I mean, the kid's barely played. He didn't play at all his rookie season, only played a handful of games this season before he got injured. I still think in that system he can thrive and will thrive. Like I said, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. You just got Aaron Jones back. You still have Kevin O'Connell, the fucking quarterback whisperer, as your head coach. I think JJ McCarthy can definitely ball out in that system and will ball out.
Yeah,
I
so
think
Logan,
it's
I think I need a little bit more context on how exactly this sets them back because you mentioned McCarthy, um, but I'm still not really getting where the fallback is from this.
Yeah, I feel like it falls at the quarterback position. I don't know if necessarily JJ McCarthy is going to be their first round pick that they're looking to, depend on right off. I don't know if it's going to be this year. If he comes back and plays, I don't know how. I don't think he'll play that well, and I don't know if he's going to play that well next year. I think he's going to be a quarterback that, you know, in 3 to 4 to like he's going to be like a Baker Mayfield. If anything, his ceiling is kind of like that, like where it's going to be a slow start. He's going to be young. He's going to make mistakes because of the system he ran at Michigan, where it's not really pass dependent. Well, they handed it off to Blake Corum and let him cook, and JJ McCarthy was put in positions where when he had to make a play, he could make a play because it was third and short or it was second and short, and they had a deep option set up because they were trying to stop the run. So I just think college set him up well. I think he'll be molded into a good NFL quarterback one day. I just don't think it'll be anytime soon.
I think you have to allow him to get a full season under his belt before you can judge that.
I,
Um,
I completely agree, but can you not agree that that supports why I think feel like that?
no, I see your point. I'm just saying I think if he can avoid this injury bug, because obviously he missed all of last year, he's missed a ton of time this year after the first game. You have to hope that he can get back out on the field and that Kevin O'Connell can work his magic that he has with both Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones didn't take us not that I can remember. Daniel Jones didn't take a snap for Minnesota, and look
Can
what he's turned into after leaving the Giants. Obviously, the Giants are not a good situation, but he walks through that system for half a season and is statistically a top five quarterback right now.
ag-
I I
agree or
just
disagree?
yeah.
Agree or disagree with this, okay? I don't know how I want to word this. If should the Vikings this year have gone into it saying JJ McCarthy was our backup quarterback? Should they have done that? Or should they have gone to the season saying he was our starter?
You
no.
draft him at
Because
number nine.
the product we saw when he first came out, it definitely did not look like he was ready. Either that or maybe he was dealing with an injury that we didn't know of. Again, I
I
feel like he's going to be a good quarterback one day. Just what we've seen so far in the injuries we've known of
I think
concern
more
me.
than anything, you put the blame not on McCarthy, you put the blame on the offensive line.
I don't even think the blame's on McCarthy, man. I don't. I just think he's been
Yeah,
unlucky.
more than anything, they just need to get an offensive line to protect him, because if he's protected, he's going to find those open spots in the field, because that's what he did at Michigan all the freaking time.
This all falls into why I say this, though, man. It's not just McCarthy. That's why I
Well,
don't
I
pin the
think
blame on McCarthy. It's everything around it. It's the injuries he's dealing with. It's the fact that they can't trust him to come back in with no tackles because they just watched Carson Wentz get sacked and beat up and just tore his shoulder and had a shoulder and and they and they had to send Carson Wentz back out there, even though we got the camera on him moaning and complaining on the sidelines because if we send a rookie out there, he's gonna get the same thing done to him, and after that, we gotta go put McCarthy in. So like, there's so many things.
yeah, but I don't think it's gonna take 3 to 5 years to get that dude an O line.
Yeah, and regardless, even if you say, "Oh shit," well, JJ McCarthy hasn't worked out for us. You're looking at a team that is very easily going to be able to lure a quarterback with star power potential
Agree,
to that.
agree.
They're
Because
very
they have
attractive.
the best talent. They have one of the best talent in the league around. I
Not only
agree.
that, they still have a 3-4 record, and that was with Carson Wentz playing mediocre as hell, dude. Like, they're still a competitive team. They're still winning games. They've been losing some close games. I don't think it sets them. I mean, it sets them back maybe another year. But I don't know. I think 3 to 5 years is stretching it, because as long as they have KOC at head coach, they're going to be a competitive team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You guys got any more? You want to wrap this up?
Yeah, we
Dak
can.
Prescott is not a big game quarterback.
Ooh, no.
Mm.
Let's talk a little bit. Let's chat.
Heading
Agree,
heading
agree, agree. I 100% agree. And I feel like that can be viewed as an overreaction. I don't feel like that's just something everyone's going to agree with, even though you can just point to his playoff situation. But it's true. He's not a big game quarterback, and the defense doesn't help him out at all, man. Though, like when you can't get when you can't force a punt all game, it's just
Well, look what he's done in past years with playoff hopes on the line or being in the playoffs. I think that's your evidence right there. Uh,
yeah.
he faced a very tough defense this past week. Granted,
Yeah,
the second half
so
was
my point to that is, he before heading into Denver, he was near the top in completion percentage. I think he was the top, over 70% completion percentage, 16 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions, and he was top 3 in passing yards. Now you're heading into Denver, who has a top 5 pass defense. It's a big game for not only your defense, but a bigger game for Dak Prescott to prove to those people still doubting him, hey, I can play at an MVP level and I
yeah.
will finish this game strong. And he shit the bed. Granted, the defense gave up 44 points, but look what Dak did: under 200 passing yards and a couple interceptions. He's just not a big game quarterback.
And I'm watching the game and he could not make a throw, man. There were plenty of such opportunities where he all he had to do was put the ball on the numbers and there's a comeback route to I want to say it was Turpin. That was low and Turpin I know he wanted that one back, but that would have been a tough catch. He threw that low and it was a great route. There was a couple other times. It was just something that I'm watching the game and I wanted to make note of it because I wanted to bring it up on the show that Dak was not hitting his target. I thought this was his worst game by far throwing the football.
oh,
And
absolutely.
and I think it was more noticeable because it must have been third down situations where like they needed to make a throw and he just couldn't make the throw.
Well, here's another thing. I think that Dak Prescott is a quarterback who gets in his head when things aren't going the right way. He's got all the talent in the world. We've seen it. But he gets off to a bad start and like you said, he can't make a throw in the second half. Obviously, facing a very good defense, but Pat Surtain was not in that game, the second half of that game, and he still couldn't find the open receiver
Right.
against a backup guy. Um, Obviously, you have Moss in there, who's another really solid corner for them.
Yeah,
But
he was locking CD up.
there all are holes on a team that doesn't have Pat Surtain starting.
Yeah.
And I know they have depth, but you have to be able to find that as an MVP caliber quarterback, a guy who has kept his team in almost every game so far this year, despite the defense being so bad. Um, I think he just folds under pressure. I think he folds under the pressure of having to come back and win games.
Yeah.
Uh, and we've seen it over and over again.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is a good conversation, good recap video. Um, made topics out of it. It wasn't really the most interesting week of football. A few blowouts, and just some bad teams playing, like the Bengals and Jets getting their first win. But ew, what a gross
Who
game.
expected that to be a shootout, let alone the Jets getting a win?
Right. And then like the Giants and Eagles. Scatterboo goes down with a dislocated ankle injury. You hate to see it. Scatterboo's great for the sport, won't you guys? Don't you guys agree?
Yeah,
I
and
love
honestly,
that I've been praying for running back to not give a damn about getting CTE, dude. Whenever he runs, boom, head is down and he's trying to knock people on their ass. I love it. It is so good for the sport. He reminds me of a little bit of Jerome Bettis, Mike Allstott. Oh, I love it.
well, and I didn't expect I expected a head injury way before seeing an ankle injury, and obviously that's devastating. And you saw the initial reactions right away because obviously you take a look at him and his ankle is messed up. Like it was at least
But it's going to the right.
yeah, it was at least 90 degrees and just all messed up. And you saw just the devastation from both Dayball, but especially Jackson Dart, who immediately knew one, his season was over, but two, probably was questioning himself on that pass as well. It was right into double coverage in a tight window that he was vulnerable to a hit that could cause something like that. And obviously playing that was on not at MetLife, surprisingly, actually. Um, but
Oh, hip drop tackle too.
yeah, it was a hip job, which is supposed to be something the league cracked down on, but you know the league.
Well,
Uh,
that's the thing. You don't get flagged for it. You just get fined after the game.
Yeah. So we'll see if fines come out for that. Um, but like you said, he's good for the sport. He's a personality. He gave the Giants, a team that came into this season with very low expectations, a lot of hope alongside Jackson Dart. And so obviously for their fans, they're devastated. The team even more so devastated. And we're wishing him a speedy recovery and hoping he can come back and start lowering his head into other people's again real soon.
Also want to point out now that we're talking about that Giants Eagles game, I have a little conversation to start. Are the
Oh, let's see if
Eagles
it's the same thing.
are the Eagles the new Chiefs?
That is exactly what I was thinking. They're
Mm-hmm.
the NFC Chiefs. They're the NFC Chiefs. They're the
Because
Philadelphia Chiefs.
the amount of missed calls I saw the tush
Well,
push.
not only that,
Or,
dude, the worst thing, this is one of the worst, maybe the worst call of this year. How is Jalen Hurts holding the ball for 2 seconds going across the line, immediately blown dead as soon as the ball comes out?
mm-hmm.
He was still leaning forward. He had not touched the ground yet. The play's not dead. You can't just call a dead ball because somebody figured out how to stop the fucking tush push. It pisses me off, dude. It makes me so mad. And we've had issues with the tush push all year long with the false starts. Other teams have been getting called for it recently. The Eagles haven't. It's
And
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I hate to see it because I had a long conversation with my dad yesterday about, the Chiefs and officiating because the Bills are taking them on next week, and we have some sore feelings right now about last year's game in the AFC Championship game. And I was telling him like the Eagles are not far off pace of what they're doing for the Chiefs right now. If there truly is a conspiracy to be had here, there are two teams involved now.
and going back to worst calls, there was a call last night. Obviously, it wouldn't have messed with
All
the
the
outcome.
offsides.
We got blown out, but that was, in my opinion, the worst no call I have ever seen in my life.
It was
You
bad.
have a guy running into the offensive line just a half second before the ball snap. And Rodgers is thinking to himself, oh, offsides. The whole offensive line is thinking offsides. The defense is thinking offsides. Rodgers launches it down the field. It's incomplete. The whole team's running forwards because it's offsides. There's no flag.
Yeah, that was a ridiculous call. And watching it in slow motion makes it even more just appalling because
What?
the offensive line didn't move a fucking frame in that video. Like that's obvious in real time. That's obvious sped forward. What?
Mhm.
Like I don't know how you missed that.
How do you, like, genuinely, I guarantee it. Play before Vegas calls them up. Hey, Don't do shit right now. Let the
Well, there's
Packers.
been rumors all year about that actually being something that happens, and obviously these are all just theories. But the way that it's lining up, like there's the thing about Jared Goff's touchdown catch against Kansas City, and people saying that the league called in about that because it took so damn long to overturn. Uh,
Mm,
and I think that this is a bigger conversation that needs to be had. Let's say that this is not conspiracy at all, and this is just refs being fucking trash at their job.
hmm
When are we going to see the league do something about it? The NBA will demote whole referee official teams from the playoffs if they make one bad call. The
mm.
MLB will expel you from the fucking league.
Yeah, the NHL's doing the same thing. They
The
just.
NHL does the same thing. The NFL is the only one who does not discipline their referees and their officials.
Logan, what do you think?
Spot on, man. Sorry, I got caught on watching the Chiefs Commanders game. Patrick Mahomes just threw a ball right to Travis Kelce, hit him right in the hands, and he dropped it into his second
Oh,
pick
they
of the
didn't call it
game.
a catch. They didn't call
Wait,
it a catch
second
anyway.
pick?
Dude, it literally just like hit him right, like literally stopped, bam, hit in the hands, went right in the air. Like, yeah, pick.
Wait, you said Mahomes just threw his second
Yep,
pick?
that's the second one.
Yeah,
What's the
yeah,
score?
Hey, Chiefs to the
zero
Super
zero.
Bowl though, right?
No, don't worry, bro. It's all part of the plan.
Look at his face. Look
This
at
is
it.
in the pocket.
Yeah,
Come
turn your
on.
mic off.
It's Baxter. That's headed cook. I'm going to watch this freaking game. Go Chiefs.